We will now be reading Genesis chapter 27. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold now, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father, peradventure, will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his brother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went, and fetched, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that my soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near, and kissed him. And he smelt the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that cursed thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword thou shalt live. Shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off of thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau is touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise, flee thou to Laban my brother to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send, and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do to me? Summarizing chapter 27. So Isaac is old and he can't see, and he tells Esau that he's ready to bless him because he's unsure when he's going to die. So he asks Esau to take his weapons and bring him some venison. Rebekah overheard this and told Jacob to bring her some goats so she can prepare a meal for Isaac the way that he likes. The intention was to get Jacob to be blessed by Isaac instead of Esau. Jacob is concerned because if he's caught lying, he'll bring a curse on himself. And Rebekah tells Jacob the curse will be on her. So Jacob does as Rebekah asks, bring the goats, and Rebekah prepares the meal and then puts animal skins on Jacob to make him hairy like Esau. Verse 18, Jacob brought the meal to Isaac, and then he starts to talk to him. And Isaac immediately asks, Who are you? Jacob lies, says he's Esau, and tells Isaac that he has the food. Isaac is suspicious, and he asks him, How does he get it so quick? And Jacob says, Because of God, which is a message in itself, because people will do things and be not telling the truth and say it's because of God. But in the Bible we'll see how to tell if people are telling you things based on God or not. Verse 21, Isaac asks Esau to come closer because Jacob is masquerading as Esau. So he's calling him Esau, so you can feel him because he can't see well. Then Isaac says, The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, because Jacob has on the animal skin, so he's feeling hairy now. So Isaac begins to bless Jacob, but then he asks him point blank, Are you Esau? And Jacob says, Yes, I'm Esau. So Isaac takes the food, and then Isaac asks to kiss Esau. Once he kissed him on the cheek and determined that he smelled right, he blessed him. After this, the real Esau came from hunting, bought the meal, told Isaac he was ready to be blessed. And Isaac then asked the real Esau who he was, because he already gave his blessing away and already ate. And Esau asked to be blessed anyway. In verse 35, Isaac says, Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. In verse 36, Esau says, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? He cheated me twice, once for my birthright, then for my blessing. The word Jacob, or the name Jacob, means to follow or to be behind. This describes his birth. He's the second born. Jacob means to supplant, to substitute, to circumvent or go around, to overreach. Esau asks if Isaac reserved a blessing for him, and Isaac says no. Esau weeps. Isaac then blesses Esau and tells him he will serve his brother by sword, but will one day be able to break his brother's yoke off his neck. Esau hated Jacob and planned to kill him after Isaac's death and the proper mourning time. So these words, Esau's plans of killing his brother, were told to Rebekah. It's unknown who tells. And Rebekah communicates to Jacob that he needs to leave and go to her brother Laban in Haran until Esau calms down and forgets. As Rebekah is sending Jacob away, she says she's disgusted or weary of her life because of the daughters of Heth, and what good would her life be if Jacob took a daughter of Heth? Okay, so the first thing, impaired condition makes a person more susceptible to being taken advantage of, but we all know that. Rebecca aided in deceiving her husband for an outcome that she wanted. Women tend to have less control, and deceiving the man or behaving ungodly becomes a tempting option that the devil will highlight to give the woman options to gain control. Rebecca had to do things quietly. She overheard Isaac and Esau. This is all deceptive. It's subtle. She overheard Isaac and Esau and decided to act against Isaac based on a conversation she overheard that wasn't meant for her, but she wanted to gain control. So she dressed Jacob like Esau, an animal, and then she overheard Esau, or it's in verse 42, words were told to Rebekah. That's all it says. It doesn't say who, but words were told to Rebekah that Esau was mad enough to kill Jacob. Because she has lack of control, she can at least get Jacob, her favorite son, control of the inheritance, or first dibs. And that's what a, a blessing is. It's like first dibs of inheritance, well wishes. Also, okay, so well wishes. Touch on that different point later on. And then there's another question that stood out as I was reading this. In chapter 27, verse 1, the chapter starts out with Isaac talking to Esau. And then in verse 18, and Jacob comes to Isaac and talks to him, and Isaac immediately asks, "Who is this?" He was suspicious. And then in verse 20, he confirms that he's suspicious by saying, "How did you find the food so quick?" And again, Jacob, masquerading as Esau, says, "Oh, well, God told me where to find it." So that's another, I'm going to put a pin in that. Verse 21, Isaac asks Esau to feel him, and then he smelled him in verse 26. Isaac was clearly suspicious, but instead of asking God, he blessed him anyway. Sometimes our suspicions or our inclinations are correct. Stop ignoring them because it's inconvenient to ask God and wait. Had Isaac waited, Esau would have shown himself. And that's the thing about when somebody says, "God told me something," or God want me to give you a word. Stop and ask God yourself, okay? Because time and how things happen will reveal where that is coming from, who that is really coming from. Just because someone says God had something or God did something doesn't mean he did. But God doesn't communicate with us like that. Sometimes you need to ask him. You always need to ask him. Not sometimes. You always need to ask God for yourself. Do not let somebody just tell you, "God told you something. God did this for me." Ask God yourself, and ask the God of the Bible yourself. Chapter 27, verse 42. Esau planned to murder Jacob over a blessing. And this is the second time we've seen a pair of twins, pair of twin brothers end up uh, wanting to murder each other, or one wanting to murder the other. In chapter 4, verse 4, Genesis chapter 4, verse 4, Cain killed Abel over God's respect or God's favor. And conflict within family is rarely over a material good. It's usually over a principle, over an incident. It's usually never over some tangible thing. In verse 46, Rebecca feels the woman that she lives around has negatively impacted her life, and she doesn't want Jacob to marry one of these women. that life would not be worth living if Jacob marries one. So this just made me question why is this such a big deal? Because Abraham also told Isaac not he didn't the servant when Abraham wanted a wife for Isaac, he sent a servant to go to a different land and find a wife because he didn't want his son to marry a wife, from where they were living at in Canaan. And so it just makes me wonder if she feels this horrible about these women and that her life is not worth living. It just made me want to just why. And I went to ponderingscripture.wordpress.com, and this theory says that Canaan or Ham was inappropriate with Noah, which is why Canaan was cursed, and that curse lasted all the way down. And it's a curse of, having this sexual uh, immorality, sexual perversion. So, Isaac and Rebekah didn't want Esau to marry the Hittite women, and Abraham didn't want Isaac to marry one. I just said that. So to just make that connection of the children of Heth, the daughters of Heth, and the Hittite people are the same. Chapter 23, verse 10, Abraham was buying that burial plot for Sarah, and Ephron, the man he wanted to buy the plot from, was referred to as dwelling among the children of Heth. But then in the very next sentence, the Bible refers to him as Ephron the Hittite. And then verse 11, when they're conducting the transaction, Abraham and Ephron, in the presence of the sons of my people. And that's what Ephron says. So if Ephron the Hittite dwells among the children of Heth, and he's conducting a transaction in the presence of the sons of my people, which are the children of Heth, then the children of Heth and the Hittites are the same. The children of Heth, or the Hittites, and the Canaanites, they make up 9 different families or peoples in chapter 10, verse 15 to 18. And chapter 10, verse 19, the Canaanite territory includes Gerar and Sodom and Gomorrah. And remember, Sodom was destroyed because of the sexual uh, obsession, their inappropriate use of sex, because that was the city that those men were going to break down the door to get the 2 angels that Lot had in his home because they wanted to have relations with him. In a mob of men wanted to have relations with only 2 men, and they were going to break down the door. So those are the descendants of Canaan. So what's so bad about Canaan? And the reason why this theory makes sense that Canaan was inappropriate with Noah or Ham, but it seems more like Canaan, because if we revisit chapter 9, verse 20 through 25, Noah got drunk and he was naked in his tent. Ham saw Noah's nakedness and told his 2 brothers. When Noah awoke, he knew what his youngest son done, and he begins to curse Canaan from verse 25 through verse 27 in Genesis chapter 9. This doesn't make sense on the surface, because if all Ham did was saw the nakedness and told somebody, why didn't, first of all, that doesn't seem like a large enough offense to be cursed. And then why did Noah not curse Ham? Why did Noah curse Ham's son, Canaan? He cursed Ham's son. Also, who is the youngest son that Noah has? When we look at how the sons are listed in the Bible, chapter 6, verse 10, Shem, Ham, Japheth. Well, okay, but Ham still isn't listed as the youngest son. And then in chapter 10, there's an epic catalog, or a list detailing the lineages of Noah. And the epic catalog, or the lineage, it lists Japheth first, Ham second, and Shem last. The reason why this is important is because this doesn't accurately detail who is the youngest son. And that might be for a reason. Because when we look at chapter 4, verse 1, Eve conceived Cain and bare again Abel. So Cain was first, the firstborn, and Abel was the secondborn. When we look at chapter 25, verse 25, Esau was born first, and then Jacob was born next. So why in the first birth of the Bible, that detail of who was born first is listed, but when it comes to Noah's sons, it's not listed in detail who is the oldest, who's the youngest. The second thing that makes this a plausible theory, Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son done. But when we look at chapter 19, verse 31 through 35 with Lot, when Sodom was destroyed, Lot's daughters took turns taking advantage of him. The first one got him drunk and slept with him. He woke up and he didn't know. And then the second one got him drunk, slept with him. He woke up, he didn't know. So how come Lot didn't know? He was drunk, too drunk to even know when they came in, what they did. He woke up with no memory. But Noah awoke and knew what was done to him. And if Ham laughed at him, saw his nakedness and told his two brothers, and this just seemed, like maybe reporting, or maybe it's taken as this was gossip. That's how I read this when I was younger, that Ham was gossiping and that was the sin. But it doesn't make sense why you would curse Canaan if Ham is the one that did that. What would make sense is if Canaan did something and Ham didn't take it seriously, Ham laughed at the aftermath. But how did Noah wake up and know who did this? And then the list doesn't say who's the youngest son, because his only sons are Japheth, Ham, and Shem. And when they're named, it's Ham, father of Canaan. Ham, father of Canaan. The other two sons had children too. So that was I thought about this for a very long time when I saw that. And I even stumbled onto this because I was just trying to read, like, why Canaan? Like, what is such the big deal about marrying the Hittites? Because Abraham had enough money to move away from them. He was wealthy. And so does Isaac. He has enough money to move. Why didn't you move your family out if you didn't want your sons to get involved with these women? Maybe we'll find out later. But if Canaan did something inappropriate with Noah, that would make sense why Noah cursed him instead of any of his other sons. And the Canaanites, their territory is Sodom and Gomorrah, and Sodom was destroyed. Just that was I know that was I know this is long, but this was mind blowing for me. So I'll be moving on to chapter 28, and this will be a shorter chapter. I promise. Actually, the next three were going to be shorter. All right. See you in the next video. Okay, so I just wanted to correct myself with what I just said. The reason why Isaac stayed in Gerar was because of God told him to stay there. Yep. So he was there. Abraham went there in chapter 20 because he journeyed there. He visited and he got treated well and he stayed there. But then, he kept living there. He had Isaac and he just lived there after that. Isaac, during the famine in chapter 28 or chapter 26, God told him, don't leave, stay there, because he was restless. He went to King Abimelech, and God reached out to him and said, "No, don't leave Egypt. Stay there where you are." So that's why Isaac stayed. But I just wanted to mention that Abraham stayed there because he had a good rapport with the king. He had a good reputation. And God specifically told Isaac not to leave.